Okay, what's going on, people? Ronan MMA back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about, well, Conor McGregor was tweeting out that he may or may not have been asked to be the next, one of the next coaches on TUF there. Obviously, who he was going to be coaching against was still up in the air. Nobody quite knew. And then last night, I believe, because I saw it on MMA Junkie this morning as soon as I woke up, Tony Ferguson has allegedly, according to him, and it is tricky reading out Tony Ferguson tweets because you kind of have to decipher modern day hieroglyphs in order to figure out what he's saying, right? Tony Ferguson uses emojis more than a 12-year-old girl, and so no, this tweet wasn't actually that hard to read. He says that he's been offered the coaching gig against Conor, and I just I'm gonna give my thoughts on it. But before we get into that, let's I gotta ask you guys, please like and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. I also want to quickly address the people in my comment section who were clearly the Luke Thomas fans I was talking about when I said that this would probably make some people mad. I find it hilarious that, firstly, nobody can ever give a criticism without throwing in an insult, which is just hilarious coming from people who are quote-unquote progressives. The first guy who went back and tried to watch a second one of my videos because he loved the first one so much, then left another criticism on my video, and then it clued in that his the number in his handle, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, was had the number 604. Now, for those of you that live in BC, know where the 604 is. You know what area code that is. You know what that means. It means this guy's probably some university student in like Vancouver. He probably goes to like UBC or Simon Fraser U or some shit. Which would explain why he's a Luke Thomas fan, because he's a wannabe intellectual. And I'm glad that these people are gone now, I guess. And that was kind of the point. I can't stand Luke Thomas or his politics or the way he acts in this regard. And not a single one of them in my comment sections, in the comment section, could address really any of the points that I made. All they basically kept saying was UFC bad. Yeah, we know. We know. I'm not saying that the UFC is practicing business in the most ethical way. But what I am saying is that neither is Scott Coker, who Luke Thomas works directly alongside, since they are both, contracted with Showtime. And I'm not even asking for like an even 50-50 criticism. What I'm asking for is that if you're going to be a media member who claims to care about fighter pay, you should not just be criticizing Dana White, even if the split is like 75-25, right? I've never heard a fucking segment in my life on Morning Combat or Luke Thomas's live chat or otherwise criticizing the way Scott Coker does business. So I would love to hear it. And then one other redact claimed that UFC champions today make less than 150K, and that we don't know because none of their pay is public, which it is absolutely 100% verifiably false. He told me I was making up the $400,000 to $500,000 base pay for champions, which I'm gonna prove to you guys right now is like all he had to do was a simple fucking Google search. But he's so incompetent and cucked out because he's got Luke Thomas's dick halfway down his throat that he can't concentrate. I don't know if I said that right. I might have said that in dyslexic terms. You can look up almost any fighter pay. Like, I'm not understanding why these people think that this is why they're correct. We've got here, Where was it? I just looked up. I wanted to know how much Rose Namajunas made in against Carla Esparza, right? And her salary was $500,000. Valentina's last fight purse was $492,000. When you are the contender fighting for a championship belt, your contract may look similar to $150,000 because you are not yet a champion. When you are a champion, though, and you're like an established champion, like Amanda Nunes makes about $500,000 for her fight base pay. I don't like. They kept bringing up pay-per-view revenue. This is before pay-per-view points. Again, I never said the way that the UFC paid their fighters were good, but I think it's funny when you've got Alexander Volkanovski making $780,000 in his last title defense, and then you've got the face of your company over at Bellator making $150,000, and he's like the most dominant champion you guys have ever had in the lower weight classes. It's fucking criminal, and they won't call it out. And then the guy told me, and to compare this to Slap League, yeah, that's my point. The fact that a guy can make 1/10 of what Patricio Pitbull made for going out there and slapping a few fellas is the problem that I have with you guys bitching about Dana White's paying $2K and $2K for the slap dummies. Okay, so now anyways, I did my job. We did the soy filter early on just to make sure, and I'm doing, they don't realize either, if they comment on my video, it doesn't matter if they're mad or not. It helps me out in the algorithm, so thank you very much for that, by the way. Greatly appreciate it. Even the dislikes, thank you. I've gained half the subscribers. There's like 8 dislikes on the video, so I've gained like 4 subs just from that one video, so thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now we'll talk about the topic in hand. Okay, Tony Ferg, and I'm sorry, dude, do you see my messy bun? This shit's out of hand. It's unacceptable. Look at all that frizz. This is when you've got like an old bag of hamburger buns and they're not quite past the best before date yet, and then you've got whatever employee was working at the warehouse that day decided they weren't gonna like sharpen the blades on their bun cutter or whatever. I'm talking like, you buy a bag of Dempsters or something and they're already pre-cut, but these guys over there, it's usually the hot dog buns, actually, if I'm being honest, bro. You go to open them and they're just like still together 100%, and then it just rips apart, and then you've got 2 completely fucked up halves that are all torn to shreds. That's what my hair looks like, and that's okay. We'll just move on. Tony Ferguson versus Conor McGregor in the form of the Ultimate Fighter TUF coaches. I love this if it was just the coaching gig, because I feel like that fight is past, man. Like, that fight is past. That fight could have happened a few years back, but that fight is no longer a legitimate fight to make, in my opinion. And this is an issue that I have with the UFC more so than the way that they pay their fighters. I don't like that they will, like, Tony here is a sacrificial lamb. All the Tony fans will not like that I said that, but I'm a huge Tony fan, and I know that this is a sacrificial lamb. The guy just got like outclassed by Nate Diaz. He didn't even really get out-toughed. You know what I mean? He got outclassed, dude. Like, Nate Diaz whooped him and then strangled him. And Tony kind of, I don't know, man. I don't want to say that he gave Nate Diaz that choke, or at least I don't want to say that he did that on purpose. And my camera just went out of focus. That's okay. We'll just keep going. But it was a rookie mistake, to say the least. Something that Tony Ferguson would not typically do. And, we've seen he was taking a bit of a beating from Nate's boxing in that fight too. He does this weird dude. He's like, I don't want to say it like this because it sounds rude, but it's almost like he's scared to get hit now after the Michael Chandler knockout. And I know that he kind of had this defensive style before, but now it's almost more pronounced. Like, he will literally, like, duck and cover as if he's heard a drive-by happen. And then, dude, this to me is going to be like the Cowboy Cerrone fight with Conor. And right before that fight started, my father-in-law, who was over watching the fights, looked at me and said, "What do you figure?" And I said 43 seconds. And because I didn't think it would be 40 on the nose, I thought we would be about around there, though. And we were, right? Obviously, 40 seconds later, Conor McGregor is getting his hand raised. I've got conflicting views on this, though, because Tony could potentially be getting a nice paycheck, for not just the show, but then the fight afterwards. But I really don't want to see Tony get starched. And the problem I have with this is that they're going to do the fight at 170. They're going to use all of Tony's 155 winning spree as promotion, right? Even though it's completely irrelevant to the landscape at welterweight, because I think, in all honesty, dude, Tony Ferguson would probably get ragdolled or knocked out by the top 5 in the welterweight division right now, and then they're going to use that to launch Conor McGregor into a title shot versus whomever may hold that belt at 170. And that is what the UFC is trying to do, in my opinion. I'll keep saying that so that people don't get butthurt and try to tell me that my opinion's wrong. One other thing about those cunts, they don't even, like, if you're going to come over here and criticize, the one guy said I had an audio issue. I did. I think there was a video playing in the background on my computer that I didn't realize was playing, so it sounded like there may have been some sort of echo. I do like to know these things, but it was just funny because I know that he was just doing it to be a quant because he didn't like my video, because he loves the taste of Luke Thomas's cum, and that's okay. But I forgot what I was gonna say about them. I had a point. Well, I had one. I had a point, but now I don't. So, there's that. Fuck, man. I just hate that the UFC does this. I hated that they did it with Shogun. I hate it that they did it with Frankie Edgar. I hate it every time they do it. I fucking hate it. And I always hope that the veteran can win, and I'm never right. Or I don't even ever think that they're going to win. I just hope deep down in my heart. I'm like, can Frankie Edgar just take this guy down and school him the way he did Yair Rodriguez like fucking 6 years ago or whenever that was, Jesus, man. Why do they do this? I literally have a problem with this shit more than I do the pay. The show part will be a blast, though, right? Because you're going to have a guy in Tony Ferguson that is not just going to give motivational speeches and not swear and be boring as all fucking get out. Like Michael Chandler, right? He's good on the mic afterward, but it's all rehearsed. And it's all kind of cringe shit anyways, dude. It's not really good. It's just fun to watch somebody nail a promotion that they've like written out for themselves, you know what I mean? In WWE fashion, but I was never a WWE fan because I have brain cells. Just kidding, for those of you that watch WWE. But yeah, man. This one worries me a bit. I was kind of hoping it would be someone not so long in the tooth, someone that wasn't necessarily on their way out, because they're basically like, in this case, Tony Ferguson is Shogun Rua and Conor McGregor's Ilia Topuria, because Conor McGregor needs a win, dude. His star power, despite what anybody may think, is gradually going away. Now, is it anywhere close to going away? No. But the pay-per-view numbers from his fights with Dustin were like not peak Conor McGregor. It was like come up. I think, well, maybe the trilogy fight did pretty good, but you know, his fight with Cowboy 1.3, which is fantastic if you're anybody else. By the way, like that's obviously not bad. But what I mean to say is like him versus Habib was 2.4 million, and despite again what anybody may think, Habib was not a pay-per-view star. Like because everybody assumed that the pay-per-views would come for Habib from, you know, that side of the world. I remember his fight with was it Justin Gaethje or Poirier? Actually, I think it was both. Both those fights were in Abu Dhabi. They held them it was like 11 a.m. Where I'm at, Pacific Standard, because they were going to be in Abu Dhabi and they wanted the crowd over there and the market over there to be able to buy the fights. And it did not sell very well. Like, I don't think Habib does even close to 1 million on his own, if I'm being brutally honest. I think Charles Oliveira sells more than Habib did. So at the time, it wasn't even so much as because he was fighting Habib. I think it was like, I don't know, maybe could he beat him, and then also his return fight, right? And then now we're seeing like 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 million. What the fuck's up with that whistling nose, eh? If he keeps losing, it will like diminish severely, because now we've got to remember too, at Conor McGregor's peak is like not this, like it's like last generation almost of fighters. Hold on one sec. Where 2013 is when he entered the UFC. That's a decade ago, right? So we're coming up on the next generation of fighters, along with the next generation of fans. An 18-year-old may have no idea who Conor McGregor is because he was fucking 8 when Conor was on the come up, right? It's kind of like how the casual fans that I would talk to at work who all knew who Conor McGregor was had no idea who George St. Pierre was, and I'm like, motherfucker, you're Canadian. How do you not know who George St. Pierre is? Fucking wild to me, dude. But I forget that it's like, well, that was a couple generations ago, and if you're not somebody like me who, you know, is 28 and has been watching the UFC since I think I was like 6 years old when I saw the first UFC, maybe, so in 2000, you know. But yeah, man, I'm worried for Tony. The show would be a lot of fun because there'd be a lot of back and forth. There would probably be some brawls and shit like that, but I was really just hoping they would not do this to Tony Ferguson, dude. Give him anybody else, but they're trying to get him a win, and they're not even confident that he could beat Jorge Masvidal at this point. So fuck me. Fuck this little man. He's Tony. I'm gonna fuck him up. It's just so shitty, man. He's gonna go out there and blast him. Quick with it. He's gonna be quick with it. And Tony's gonna do that dumb fuck. I'm not trying to talk shit on Tony Ferguson. Don't get butthurt, but the way he defends punches is not very orthodox, and like it looked super cool against a guy like Anthony Pettis, who was like, kind of like, what the fuck, when he like somersaulted away. Like, who the fuck does that, you know? But it's not gonna work versus Conor, dude. As much as people either, I guess, love him or absolutely hate him, and as much as you know, well, whatever, he's slick on the feet, very slick on the feet, and he looks like a brick shithouse. So maybe Tony's only hope is that all of his flexibility and like dexterity is gone. He's changed his build, okay, right? if we're playing Dark Souls and if we're playing Dark Souls 3 to be specific, and we start the game off as the the mercenary, whoever gets the dual sellsword twin blades, right? So you're going for a pure dex build, and then you realize that Dragon Slayer armor looks pretty wicked. So does Champion Gundyrs. You're gonna need to throw in some vitality and some strength to go with that, so you can wield a big weapon. Because how are you gonna wield a little katana when you're wearing Champion Gundyrs armor? Okay. And for those of you that don't understand the reference, well, get lost. But that's basically what happened. Conor McGregor has picked his endgame build, right? He's about to enter the DLCs. He knows he's got to fight what was her name? Sister Frayed? I don't remember. And her weirdo dad in that big chair thing, and then he's also got to go fight Gale after. So he's like, shit, I need to invest in some strength. And now this is his endgame build, where he's got the dex. His dex might be a little down due to the strength. And he's certainly got a lot of vitality because he has packed on that muscle. Jesus Christ. Alright. I don't know, man. I didn't have direction for this video. I mostly wanted to address the dumb fucks. Briefly talk about the TUF coach thing, because it is kind of exciting and cool. And, yeah, man. I can't believe that guy thought that the UFC champion pay is fucking undisclosed, dude. It literally says disclosed pay. Beside the purse amount, you know? Like, they don't tell us how much they get in backroom deals. They don't tell us how much they get in pay-per-view points. They show us the base salary. It's public information. The guy said that, something quite stupid. Something quite stupid. Hold on one sec. He said, I also just 100% made up the idea that UFC champs make $400,000 to $500,000 minimum. You don't even see the UFC pay for almost all of their events because they use their corrupt connections with athletic commissions to remove that piece of negotiating power from the fights. DJ was barely making more than okay. DJ fought there almost half a decade ago. I want to ask y'all this. AJ Agazarm calls out Douglas Crosby at Bellator post-fight press conference. What did Scott Coker do about that? You think Scott Coker does not have relationships with people on athletic commissions? Are you fucking out of your goddamn mind, dude? Again, UFC bad. They're so fucking brain rotted, dude. You can tell which side of the political spectrum they're on because they do this with another guy who's in politics instead of the fight game. You think Scott Coker doesn't have fucking connections everywhere? Like, are you serious, dude? They've been on fucking native reserves for like how many goddamn events? Come on, man. You don't think that he's doing something that can be done on a native reserve that can't be done somewhere else? Like, he's obviously using that location for a reason. I don't know, man. It's just that is such a brain dead take, dude. Brain dead take. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Fucking brain rotted idiots, dude. You can look up the salaries on fucking Monday for those of you who don't know. Usually, maybe even Tuesday. They release the salaries almost right away. They never tell you. The numbers that they do hide are the pay-per-view numbers. So that's that. So I don't want to hear this bullshit. So you know, fuck off. See ya. Like and subscribe.